Hari Om everyone, welcome to this class of Upadesha Saara. We have done 5 classes so far, so this is the 6th class. So we'll start with the chanting first and then we'll continue from there. So I'll just share it on the screen. You can chant at your end. I will chant at my end here. Start with the Shanti part. Om Sahna Vavatu Sahnau Bhunaktu सह वीर्यं कर्वावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिगं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनशृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् ओम श्री महागणपतये नमः। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारंभं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। And we'll just chant the first stroke of the text also, which is the opening one. Om Karturagya Prapyate Phalam Karma Kim Param Karma Tajjadam Karturagya Prapyate Phalam Karma Kim Param Karma Tajjadam. So we have seen so far in the 14th verse, we had looked at it in short. We will just revise this one and then we'll move on to the next. So far we are looking at now the mind, how to control the mind, and the two aspects of the mind, what we have to do with it. One is lean, to submerge it, and the other is nasham, to destroy it, which is mentioned in this verse. To totally by knowledge, you cannot destroy the mind physically, because physically this body will not remain if the mind is not there. So prana bandhanat lean manasam ek chintanat nashamityada. So, prana bandhanat, by this binding of the prana shakti, this prana shakti is able to control the mind. Like when the prana is not there, then the mind will go into the state of submergence, leena manasam. It will be going into dissolution, right? Like when we are in deep sleep, the mind is no longer available. So now, eka chintanat, how do we get over that? How do we go further? Because in the earlier mantra we saw that prana bandhana, by this prana bandhana we can basically suppress the mind, but anything suppressed comes back with more vigor next time. So we have to get rid of the mind. We have to destroy it or totally end it by means of knowledge. So by what is that method? Eka chintanat nasham iti adaha. By the meditation on that one source or the one essence, the highest reality, Brahman, or whatever name we want to put to it, because by method of that, by that Eka Chintanam, we can get rid of this mind, right? We have seen this earlier also. So because of this method, first we did the prana bandhana. By using the prana, when we did the pranayam, we slowly controlled our breath, and because of that control of the breath, the mind slowly drifts away or goes into the state of dissolution. So that mind which is very much divided, separated, we call it vikshipta, by the thoughts that day to day that bother us, day to day that they come into our fore and they disturb us. They may involve our own vasanas, our own desires that we attach with them. In both the senses, raga and dvesha, any attachment to an object or an aversion, or it may be something like a simple bhava, any kind of feeling. So all of these are what we call the thoughts or the vritti, the thoughts of the mind. So these vrittis we can silence by pranayama. We saw it earlier. But what happens is that when this vritti, these thoughts are silenced, the sansara, the world goes away, right? But this thing is, as I said earlier, it may come back again whenever we move out of this pranayama practice, right? So therefore, what is the method to remove it? We have to remove the knowledge or the, you can say the wrong notion about ourselves. We have to remove the wrong notion of ourselves uh, that I will I am a limited being. We say the wrong notion that I am a jivatma. So therefore, once we have to remove that, uh, could you elaborate on dissolution in pranayam? Okay, so we saw this in the last class. Just I'll repeat it quickly for you. So, through pranayam, how we dissolve the mind is that when the prana is running, when the pranayam breath is going on, then when we regulate this breath, then by regulation of this breath, what happens is our focus turns totally onto the breath. We focus away from our thoughts, and because of the focus on the breath, and then we tend to lengthen the breath slowly with practice, right? So when we do pranayam, the first time we just hold it for one mantra, then we do two, then three, and then slowly this one set of three mantras we repeat thrice. Up to that is advisable. So once we are doing that, we are so much focused on the breath that the thought doesn't arise, right? The thought doesn't get a chance to come up or trouble us. So that is how by prana bandhanat, by the controlling of the prana, which is basically pranayam in the eightfold path of eightfold Ashtang Yoga principle, right? We saw the remaining principles also, how they lead up to pranayam. Asan, Stiru Sukham Asanam. So first we have to learn to sit in a stationary pose so that we can sit for a long period and we can focus. And so on and on, as we train the mind to not be disturbed by being dharmic, by practicing the yama, niyam, and so on. So in this way, the mind is slowly brought into our control. So what this is going to do, it is going to show us, हमें दिखा देगा. It can show us that yes, this is something I can control. Because regularly, for a common person, control of the mind seems impossible, because every time we see the mind acting, the mind functioning, we watch it and we find ourselves helpless, right? If just controlling it, any kind of desire that once it comes to our mind, it's very difficult to get away. In fact, something that we have done wrong, or we have said something wrong to someone, that will bite at the back of my mind for a long, long time. Sometimes our sleep is also gone. My sleeping time is also gone because I am so disturbed over that thought process. So that is how we have to first learn to discipline the mind through positive thoughts. And that is yamaniyam. And then finally, we are reaching pranayam. So the next final stage is dhyan, dharana, samadhi. They are the part of the remaining practice also. So now when we look at this lean manasat, so when we are now removing the feeling of limitedness, that limit that we have imposed on ourselves, and that is the whole story about Shastra. Everything in Shastra is going to point in this direction only, that how to control the mind and how to reach for that higher essence, or to recognize the true nature of myself. Who am I? The basic question which Ramana Maharishi also says in a lot of his texts also. So to discover my true nature, that is the Udghosh, or that is the declaration, or that is the roar of the Shastras. So therefore, every jiva, every being who has limited himself by his wrong notion, you have to reach that level of knowledge where you can see that Brahma that I heard about, I am that Brahman, that Brahman. So I am that. So reaching that is going to be the removal of my wrong notion, or what we call ajnana, the wrong ignorance, my wrong notions. And because of that, we have a wrong knowledge. We feel limited. All kinds of limitations we impose on ourselves. The limitation may be of time. I am here now. I am here. I am not here later. Or space, or object. So all these three limitations, the three basic limitations of time, space, and object we impose on ourselves because we see ourselves as functioning through this body, and we limit our sphere of influence to whatever this body can reach out. So therefore, by meditating on this Ekatattva Chintana, we can destroy our ignorance. The more we moved on, we will see more steps of this. So whatever the problems of the mind are there, then they are slowly going to be destroyed. So all the thoughts that are there in the mind, behind that thought, there is one thought that we'll see in the later also, which we call the aham vritti. So aham vritti, idam vritti we look at. So because of these aham vritti or the thought that I impose that I am with the wrong thought that I am a doer. I am eating, I am sleeping, and so on. So this will look in the later verse. So now we'll move on to the next one, the next sloka, the 15th. So this is not going to reveal something. This is a kind of a falashruti. It is going to tell what is the fruit. Because first you have to entice someone. उसको उस लाइन में लेके आना है तो पहले उसको थोड़ा लालच दिखाना पड़ेगा ना. So you have to even some Mahatmas, they learn siddhis because to attract people they need those siddhis. It is not advisable to go for siddhis because until and unless you show something like that, a person is not attracted to you. So that is why a lot of people they follow such gurus only who can show a siddhi. But you have to go beyond that siddhi. So what is that? What is that kind of yogi who is the highest? Nashtamanaso krishta yogina krityamasti kim swasthitim yata. Nashtamanaso krishta yogina krityamasti kim swasthitim yata. So Nashta Manasa, the one who has totally destroyed his mind. Who is that person? Utkrishta. He is a very special person. He's very one of the most respected yogina, most respected yogi. Yogi, one who has connected himself to the highest power, who has attained identity with that. So for that person, who has destroyed his mind, Nashtamanasaha, what is there left to do? Krityamasti kim. What more is there left to do? Because he is gone beyond the range of doership. No? He has gone beyond the realm of I am a doer, I am a desirer, or I am a bhokta, I am the enjoyer of an action, or the enjoyer of the fruit of action rather. So, Krityamasti kim, for such a person, there is nothing left to do. Swasthitim yata, he is established in his own sarupa. So, this is the yogi that we all have to strive. We have the kind of yogi that we all have to strive to be, because if we have to reach for something, this is the one who has destroyed his mind, or you can say mastered his mind. Mastered his mind to the extent that he sees the mind only as a toy. He sees the mind as something non-existent, something that he can play with, but actually the mind has no existence of its own. So here we will use a rule that we have seen earlier, that if there is something that doesn't exist in the beginning, and then something that doesn't exist in the end also, that means it is not there in the middle. So adya vante cha yat nasti vartamane cha tattatha. So adi antam cha yat na asti vartamane cha api tatha. So if something is not there in the adi, in the beginning, or in the end also afterwards, so then that means in the middle also it was not there. So if this room is closed, I am seeing a snake over here, but neither did the snake enter here before, and nor did it go away afterwards also. That means I am seeing the snake, that snake is not real. Right? So anything in our life that comes in our way, everything that we have, all the relationships, all our earnings, they are all like that. They were not with us before. So understand that what you are seeing is just an illusion. What we are seeing. So if I say that I have to move beyond this mind, then I have to go beyond the what we call the flow of the universe. So usually in spirituality, at the transactional level, व्यवहारिक दृष्टि हम जिसको बोलते हैं, at the transactional level, at the व्यवहार level, we are supposed to go with the flow. We are supposed to go with the flow. We are supposed to go with Prakriti, right? But that is just so that Prakriti doesn't harm us back when we go with the flow. But we have also got to learn to master Prakriti, nature. We have to learn. It is the actually, if you speak, actually speaking, it is animals, Pashu, who go according to the flow only. But a human is one who can master the flow. So the more you can master the flow, the more you will be able to live a life of control and happiness. And that mastering is done by what? It is done by dharma. It is taught done by following the rules of religion, rules of dharma, that tells us how to discipline ourselves, how to control ourselves, how not to get caught in the flow, how not to get trapped in that flow. So if you have to go beyond that flow, we have to learn to understand that this mind is something that we have to negate. So that the one who has negated that yogi that we are talking about, Nashta Manaso, that is a Utkrishta yogi, and therefore because of that he doesn't have anything left to do. He's Kritakritya, we call that. He is Dhanya, or we say he has achieved that everything else that there is to be achieved. So therefore, every person at some level or the other, he is always seen as wanting to do something. So I want to do this, I want to attain this. So it might be something related to the physical world. It might be something related to the mental world, some kind of mental satisfaction, some kind of creativity that we are seeking to express. So all of these they are targets of our lives. All of us have that. So now, if I have to control the mind, I have to take it what we call inwards, antarmukhi. Then that sadhana is taught by yoga. So this yoga is the one who has perfected that. That is this Utkrishta yogina. So that person is the ideal for us. For us in our Indian philosophy, or you can say the Hindu philosophy, it is not just Indian; it is for everyone. So in that philosophy, the highest ideal is the one who can withdraw from the world, not someone who can involve himself in the world and do more and more things, or make more and more money. Going after money is considered avidya. Because it is going to get us trapped in this world. The one who can move beyond that is the actual knowledge. So these days, someone is teaching you how to cheat someone, you will pay him more. Say a lawyer. A lawyer is there and he wants to win your case by all means. You will pay him 100, 10,000, 100,000 lakhs, whatever be his fees. But the same thing, if a Pandit is going to come and he's going to teach you a spiritual lesson, or is going to teach you a method to, overcome your prarabdha. So when a home, havan, and at the end of that, what will you want to pay him? 500 rupees. Even that also you will maybe try to bargain and bring it down. So that is how the actual knowledge we are not willing to pay for. What we call agyan, that is we are willing to pay more and more for. That is how our values have changed. But that is not the way of the Veda. So therefore, this yogi has to learn to go beyond the mind, to control the mind, and go to the state where the mind is going to be totally negated. Negated is the exact word. So therefore, till the mind is controlled by all of our previous vasanas, we will never be able to go beyond that. So therefore, this technique will be later taught in the coming verses. So he has to first learn to give up the doership and enjoyership. Kartritvam, Koktitvam, that abhimanam, that he has to give. And therefore, he has to also understand finally that he has no duty. नो कर कोई कर्तव्य नहीं है उसका. सो ही डजंट बिकॉज ही डजंट हैव द he doesn't give reality to the world. So if there is something that is real in the world, then only you will have the tendency to do any kind of action towards it. He sees himself beyond all this. No, sees everything within him as a play, as a game. So therefore, this yogi has to be the one who will be able to rise above the mind. And therefore, when this yogi is above the mind, then what happens is, no, it's like when you're detached from the mind, then you will see no essence in all the objects of the world. You will see that it is the nature of Paramatma. Everything is Lord only. Paramatma is appearing in various forms. It is his nature, his स्वभाव. उनके स्वभाव के कारण ही वो अलग अलग आकारों में दिखते हैं. He will appear. You cannot stop that. So once you know this, no, you have seen the Lord's mind with your mind. आपने अपने मन से भगवान के मन को देख लिया. And then only you will actually see Paramatma everywhere. You will see Paramatma everywhere. But we see essence in things that when the actual essence is not there. So if there is a pillow, and that pillow is filled with cotton, so it has some essence inside. But that same pillow can be also be without any cotton and still appear swollen up. It can be filled with air. Right. So same way with objects of the world also, they can be filled with air. And there was a small story about a person we call in the north. It is called he's called a Lal Bujakkar. Someone who gives fanciful explanations for everything. There is one saying also about this Lal Bujakkar bhujiya और न बूझे कोई पग में चक्का बांध के हिरना कूदत होए. So when is he saying that? The people of the village saw a elephant footmarks, and they didn't know what it was. So they went to this Lal Bujakkar who pretends to be very knowledgeable, but actually he is not. So, and they asked this guy, Bujakkar means who's always guessing, someone who's guessing these things, what answer can be possible. So they ask him, and then he says that Lal Bujakkar Bhujiya, this the great Lal Bujakkar, I only understood what this thing is. No one else understood. What is this? पग में चक्का बांध के हिरना कूदत होए. A deer has tied a huge stone to his feet and then he's jumping around. So he'll give all kinds of weird explanations. So someone went to this Lal Bujakkar again, and then they saw a pant that was hanging, a cloth that was hanging in the wind, and due to the wind, it appeared to be swollen. So they asked him that what is filled up inside this, and then he started laughing, and then he said, "Look, you are worried about something that you don't know, but actually I also don't know." So this guy was the one of the rare honest one. So we are also like this person. Also, we try to see essence in things that actually don't have any essence. The essence within them, within all objects, is that of the Lord only, of Brahman, of Paramatma, whatever word you want to use. So because of that, this yogi also, he also sees nothing but the Lord in all as the essence of everything. And because of that, he doesn't see himself also as separate from those essences, and therefore now his ajnanam, his ignorance is totally gone. And therefore the feeling, the knowledge of his incompleteness that we common people have, such a person doesn't have. So that is the ideal, Utkrishta Yogina. So where ajnana stops, that yogi's life or his vision starts. Right after the end of ignorance. So that is why he is Kritakritya. So now, if we have to become like him, what is the process we follow? We go into the next shloka. Number 16. ऋष्यवारितं चित्तमात्मन चित्तदार्शनम तत्वदर्शनम दृश्यवारितम चित्तमात्मन चित्तदार्शनम तत्वदर्शनम. So drishyavaritam, I have to remove the drishya. I have to negate the drishya. Drishya is what? The scene, whatever I am seeing. And what will happen is then I have to see myself, Atmanaha, as the Chittam first. As the Chitta here with the double ta is the mind. And then I go beyond. What do I do? Chitva. This Chitva is Chit with the small ta, half ta, and then Tva. So that means Chitta means the consciousness, and Chitva means the uh, essence of that consciousness. Just like you have any word you see, if you see tree, if you say tree, then what is the essence of that tree? Vrikshatvam. Tva will be added. If you see a piece of wood, then kashtatvam. So you add tvam to indicate the essence, right? So that essence of that consciousness, Chittva Darshanam, Tattva Darshanam. That is the real essence. That is the real thing that he is looking for. That is the real thing that we are all looking for. So we have to first negate the drishya. So I'll just go to the essence of where this comes from. So we can understand it there, and then we'll move from there. So this is a very, very famous text. I have repeatedly quoted here. Drik Drishya Vivek. So Drishya we have to negate. So what is that Drishya? That is taught in this first verse. Rupam Drishyam Lochanam Drik Tad Drishyam Driktu Manasam Drishyayadhi Vittaya Sakshi Drigev Natu Drishyate. So step by step. Rupam Drishyam Lochanam Drik. So when I take the eye as the seer or as the drashta or as the one who's the onlooker, then what is the scene or what is the object that is being seen? Then that is the world. Rupam, forms, names and forms of the world. Then next stage. Tad drishyam driktu manasam. But when I look at the eyes, who is seeing the eyes? The mind is seeing the eyes. Then the mind is seeing the eyes. So then if the mind is seeing the eyes, then drishya dhivrittaya sakshi. Then what is the mind composed of? The mind is composed of thoughts. Dhivrittaya. The mind is composed of thoughts. So who is seeing the thoughts? Sakshi. Sakshi. That Sakshi, the eternal consciousness, the seer, the witness consciousness, whatever name we give for it, that is the final seer. And what is special about that? Drigeva natu drishyate. That seer, that Sakshi, it cannot be seen by anyone. Otherwise, we'll go to regress ad infinitum. Na? Piche piche jate jayenge. So, who is seeing the Sakshi? Another Sakshi we'll have to find out. No. That Sakshi is the finest. So, that Driga, that Driga and Drishya, we have to learn to differentiate. That is what is being said by Ramana Maharishi here. So that first of all, what we have to do, Drishya Varitam. I have to negate this Drishyam, this whole world that I am seeing. What is that? It is Chittam. It is thoughts. Everything is what? Everything that I see. How does it come into my mind? It comes into my mind in the form of thoughts. So therefore, everything is a modification of thought only. Everything is thought only. And therefore, why? Because, when the mind is not there, when the consciousness is not there, Drishya goes away. In the evening, in the night, when I go to sleep, the Drishya is no longer there. So Drishya Varitam. So the Drishya is gone. So if I now without sleeping, I have to learn to sleep. Okay. So I have to learn to sleep without actually sleeping. How do I do that? I have to negate. I have to negate that Drishya. So Drishya Varitam Chittam Atmanaha. By the mind, I have to negate this Drishyam. So Drishya Varitam Chittam Atmanaha. And then what I have to do is Chittva Darshanam. I have to then look for who is looking at the Chittam. Who is looking at the mind? That we saw in the Drig Drishya Vivek version also. So that is the final seer. That is the consciousness, Chit. So that Chitva Darshanam, the Chit Darshanam, that is the actual Tattva Darshanam. That is the actual knowledge of the essence. The knowledge of the essence of that highest reality of Brahman, of Atma, or whatever name we use. So that Chitva Darshanam, that we have to strive for. How? By going first at what we see, drishya, we see that in the form of thoughts. Then see where do the thoughts arise? Thoughts arise in the mind. Then who is seeing the mind? The Atma, the Chaitanyam, the consciousness. So therefore, all the bondage that we have in this world, we say it is because of the mind only. Man मन ही मुक्ति है, मोक्ष है, मन ही बंधन है. So we say mind is the cause of all bondage and mind is the cause of the final liberation also. When the right thought is prompted into the mind or fixed into the mind by Shastra or Guru. So therefore, whatever ignorance is there in the mind, that is the cause of its bondage. And once that ignorance is removed, then liberation is the after effect of that. So now Ajnana Nasha we have to do. We have to destroy this ignorance, and then we saw Ek Tattva Chintanam. So now what do we do? First we look at the mind. So what is the mind? Mind, the word used here is chitta. So there a lot of thoughts are flowing in this mind, and these thoughts we are observing day in and day out, every moment to moment. And what is the speciality of these thoughts? What is the noticeable features of these thoughts? That these thoughts are constantly changing, right? They are constantly changing. I see anything. For an instant, I will have in my mind the image of that object. Very next instant, it will be another object, right? I'm seeing a book, then I'll see another thing, and so on. Even while reading a book, I will change on to the next page. So every moment to moment, these thoughts are changing. So we have to remember the important part. What is important about the thoughts or the drishya? We are talking about the drishya. Drishya is the thoughts. So drishya is constantly changing. So that is the first thing that we notice about the thoughts, that these thoughts are constantly changing, and whatever be the object that is seen, according to that the thoughts might be there. But there is another kind of thought we call bhavanatmak, and they can be according to our feelings. Every thought doesn't need to have a external object, it might be just a feeling. Then there are thoughts that are in the form of what we call sankalpa vikalpa, and we have thought about doing something, and then I think, no, I need some more options. So I'm going to a party. First I choose a blue dress, and then I think, no, I have a red one, I have a green one. So which one do I want to wear? And then I need to match shoes with that. I need to match other jewelry with that. So in this way, sankalpa vikalpa is the nature of the mind. So every moment it is changing. Every moment it wants something new to experience, something new to know. So that is the first thing that we understand about the nature of the drishya, that drishya is constantly changing. But what about the one who's seeing? What about the drashta? The drashta is not changing. Avyabhichari, vartate. It is not at all changing from second to second. Why? Because if it was changing, then it would not be able to remember. If the mind had taken the shape, not the mind, the seer, if the seer had taken the shape of those thoughts, then it would have remained in that shape. But the very fact that it can keep on knowing all the different objects without itself, that means it is not changing. So drishta is not changing. So that is the next important feature. Drashta दृष्टा जो है वो अव्यभिचारी है, unchanging, and the drishya is vyabhichari. It is constantly changing, right? So therefore, Now here we have, as I saw earlier, we told earlier also, that there are two words, chitta and chitva. So chitta is cha, e ki matra, double ta. That double ta, as I said, it represents the mind, and chitva represents consciousness, and that consciousness has its essence or its nature is chitva. So what is this nature of this consciousness? It is what we call, it is of the nature of knowledge. Because of this, everything is being known. So this knowledge is also, this consciousness is also the one that is making everything known to the mind also. Right? If you withdraw the consciousness, the mind will also not be knowing anything. Right? The mind is also not capable of knowing anything without the consciousness being available. So that is the nature of this chit, with the small ta, chit, single ta. That also with the halat, with the half ta. So therefore, this consciousness, what happens is, it will interact with the objects of the world, which we call the Nam Rupatmaka Jagat, the whole world of names and forms. And therefore, it is able to take the shape of all of these objects. That is how it is able to know. That is how it is able to know. So how we know, we have seen earlier also in earlier texts, how do we know something? First of all, the thought of the mind, it goes to the object riding on the consciousness. Without consciousness, the thought cannot move at all. It cannot even go anywhere. So therefore, the thought will go to the object and it will cover the whole object and it will take the shape of the object. That we call vritti vyapti. That we call vritti vyapti. So in this way, the thought is going to take the shape of the object. Then what will happen? That shape again riding on the consciousness, it will come back to the mind. That input will be received by the mind, and then because of the consciousness that is present there, the illumination will happen, the knowledge will happen that such and such is this object. So this is a book, this is a stone, this is a wall. So in this way, that knowledge is going to come suddenly in the mind. That is called phalavyapti, the fruit of this process of knowing. That is called. So with these two processes together going on simultaneously, moment to moment, we learn to know an object, right? I hope this is clear. Vritti Vyapti and Phalavyapti. Yeah, it keeps coming in many texts. So therefore, in this way, this name and form is conjoined with this consciousness, and that thought shape takes place, and then that thought that comes into the mind, and because of this, there will be, the mind is going to know something, and the mind is going to say, yes, this is such and such object, or place or whatever. So then when this Nam Rupatmaka Vritti, this thought of with name and form is going to be there, then this consciousness is going to illuminate it, and then it is called the Drashta. Then it is called the seer, right? So seer will represent what portions? The one, the consciousness will attach to the name and form. So consciousness attached to name and form will be this Drashta. And as we saw that the Drishya, what is the specialty of the Drishya? It keeps on changing and it has variety. Whereas the Drashta is the Drishya is changing, the Drashta is non-changing, and Drishta is not many. There is only one Drashta. So therefore, whatever is changing in Vedantic terminology, we call it mithya. It is not real, because if it is here the one moment and not there the next moment, that means we don't accept its existence. That means it is dependent for its existence on something else. That is what we call the essence of it all, the essence which is Brahman. So therefore, this drishya that we are seeing, all the objects that we are seeing, when we understand that it is unreal, mithya, then we have to do drishya varitam. I have to separate this, my chitta first. First chitta, don't go to the consciousness right away. I have to separate my chitta from this drishya, and then As I said, no, that first we see that the mind is seeing something through the eyes, and then the eyes seeing something. So as we move back, then finally we'll go to the consciousness. So therefore, this mind, I have to remove this chitta. I have to remove, or I have to drishya varitam or paravritam. I have to bring it back and just focus on the seer. And forget for now the drishya. So now this only seer, this is drashta, and the object that I'm seeing, that is mithya. So now what is remaining, that is only what we call nature of consciousness or light, the light of consciousness. That is the knowing faculty within us. So now this chitta is going to cognize the world of names and forms, and after deciding that it is mithya, unreal, then next, what is going to be happening? The drishtatva, the knowing thing also is going to be negated. Why? Because is the mind capable of knowing something? No, the mind is not capable of knowing, because without the consciousness being present, the mind is also not going to be knowing anything. So therefore, the drishta also I drop. Next, it seems difficult, but I have to understand that the consciousness is watching. Because of the consciousness, the mind is knowing. But is the consciousness directly knowing anything? No. Consciousness can never know directly anything. It can know only through the mind. So therefore, that drashta also goes away. So drishya varitam means also the drishta will also go away. This we call triputi. The knower, the known, and the instrument of knowledge. All three have to go away when I go back to the witness consciousness. So that is just a witness, but we call it witness, that in essence it means something like the seer, dekhne wala, but actually it's not even the seer. Because if I have negated everything, then what is there to see? What is there to see? So if I have a son, then I can be a father. If I don't have a son, the son is gone, then I cannot be a father. So therefore, I have to learn to negate that. So once we do that, once we remove the name and form, then only that unchanging kutastha, we call it, unchanging consciousness remains. That unchanging consciousness remains. So that consciousness or Chetan Swarupta without the Drishya, that is called Tattva Darshanam here. That is called the knowledge of the real essence of things. Now, what is the real essence of things? That knowledge is being talked about here. So, the Chitta Varitam, Drishya Varitam, and therefore, once I have determined, once I have determined the nature of this unreality of this world, then why will I why will I get trapped? Why will I get trapped in this? Why will I want to interact with this world? I see this. I see what is happening as a witness, and I see whatever is happening. Everything is going on according to its nature. Like in Gita, Bhagwan Krishna says, Guna Guneshu Vartante. Everything is interacting with each other according to their respective properties, gunas. So therefore, I, the Atma, I do not have any gunas. I am nirguna, nirakara, avyakta. So therefore, this Atma, I have to understand that it is not in any case, in any sense, it is even the drashta. It is not even the knower. The knower is the mind, but the mind and the mind is also a part of the samsara. Why? Because I am seeing. The consciousness is seeing the mind. That means the mind is also changing. That means the mind is also mithya. That means the mind is also unreal. This way we drop the mind. This way we destroy the mind. This way we kill the mind. Right? We see that the mind also is changing. Mind is also mithya. Therefore, mind is also not real. And who is making that mind? Who is giving reality to the mind? It is me, the consciousness. It is me, the Atma, who is giving the reality to this mind. So in this way, we drop this feeling of notion of the mind having any reality. Then we go one step further. Let's go into the next verse. So now nature of the mind. मानसं तु किं मार्गणे कृते नैव मानसं मार्ग आर्जवात् मानसं तु किं मार्गणे कृते नैव मानसं marg arjavat. So when I think, when I meditate, manasam tu kim, what is this mind? Let me try and discover it. Margane krite, let me try and remove the covering that is there on the mind. Anveshanam I have to do. So when I do this anveshanam, when I try to reveal the nature of the mind, what do I find? Naiva manasam. Mind is not there at all. When I go back to the consciousness, when I see the mind is forever changing, then I see the mind is not there. And that is Marga Arjava. That is the most simplest path that you can take. That is the best path that you can take. That I learned to negate this mind. So therefore, what this mind is, when I think about it, whenever I meditate upon it, when I try to rationalize it, when I try to understand it, then the position that I reach, I find that this very thing that I was searching for, this very thing that I was trying to determine the nature of, that very thing is mithya, it is unreal, it is not even existent. It is dependent for it is just an appearance, it is dependent for its existence on me, on the Atma. Without me, it has no reality. So therefore, I have to go to totally reveal its nature. Manasam tu kim margane krite. I have to do anveshanam, margane. So this marg is the path that we take. So when we take a path, then we discover about the reality of the path, what is the nature of the path, what objects that I see on the path. That is called margin. I go by the path and I am able to discover things that I had not known when I had not gone there. अब जाएंगे तभी तो पता चलेगा ना. So when we go, then only we will know. So when we go walk this path, we walk this. If we remember from the Kathopanishad, it is what we call the razor's edge. Walking on this path of self knowledge is like walking on the razor's edge. So once I learn to walk on this razor's edge, then only I'll be able to discover the truths. That what is this mind? So therefore, once I discover this, what do I find? There is no object like mind. It has no reality of its own. And that is the marga, saral marga. That is the most simplest method. Arjav. So Riju means something that is crooked. Arja means something that is simple, plain. So that is the best path that we have to take. So therefore, first of all, we have to go beyond whatever this mind is going to dictate to us. Now, all our lives, we follow this mind and we follow what I told you earlier also, the flow of the universe. Vaha. Pravaha. So that Pravaha, we saw earlier also, this Pravaha, our ultimate aim of conquering this, the first thing was that we learned to conquer our vasanas. Then second was what? That we learned that Shakti, this Shakti, the expansion and contraction of Shakti, how it is going to affect us. And then Vaha Chedda. I have to destroy this flow. I have to destroy this flow of the universe. And if I have to destroy the flow of this universe, I have to learn the nature of this flow. And once I learn the nature of this flow, I can stand apart from this flow and I can go and examine this. So as I said, it is animal only who goes according to the flow. We have to go beyond this flow and we have to reach for something that is not going to get trapped in this flow. Who gets trapped in this flow? Sense organs first. So there is a story in the one of the Upanishads that the Devtas, they are looking at how they can conquer the Asuras. So when they were fighting, they could not conquer them. So when they could not conquer, then they said that we have to take the support of something that so that we can win. So first they went to speech, Vani, and then they took its protection and they thought that with our friendship with speech, Vani, we will be able to win But the asuras found out. The asuras found out. So what did they do? They also attacked Vani. So Vani has the speech has all kinds of its speech can be good also, speech can be harmful also, so it can be evil also. So therefore, the evil is the speech getting infested by the asuras. That is what is called. That is what is called the evil in the speech. So speech also gets affected by the asuras. Then what they did next? Okay, this Vani is not going to be useful to us. So what we do? What do we do next? So then they went to the eyes, chakshu, and then there also the asuras found out. So same way also the asuras also took control of the eyes also. So the eyes also they see good things, they see bad things, and they attract us to them, and they tie us to them, right? And then so on with the rest of the sense organs also. And therefore the asuras each time they were able to defeat the devas. Then finally what they do, what did the devtas do? They went and connected to prana. So now prana doesn't do anything negative. Prana it doesn't do any kind of dushkarma. So therefore there they were finally able to defeat the asuras. So what does this story tell us? That all our life we are running after this flow because of the way our sense organs are leading us. जहां जहां हमारी इंद्रियां हमें लेके जाती हैं वहां वहां हम भागते जाते हैं. So, so there we keep running and we lose control of our life. So if we have to stay in control of our life, we have to stay within the knowledge of the nature of my self, the Atma, the Ananda Atma, the Ananta Atma. Then I have to hold on to this. First of all, my prana shakti, Vayu. So that Vayu is the one I have to hold on to. And when once I control this Vayu, then I will be able to do the what we call the word we use Vaha Cheta. I can control the flow of this universe. I can control the flow of this world. So, so in this way, in this text also it is given that this simple path that we have to discover that can only be known if we have the full knowledge of the nature of the mind. So once our sense organs are in control, then we can move on to the next stage of the mind control. So we know as we study in earlier texts also that by nature this jiva is always free, always free. But because of its ignorance, it is thinking that it is not free. It is trapped. So therefore, because of this ignorance, it creates bondage for itself in this world, and this bondage can only be conquered when it starts to think about its own nature. It understands what are the different avasthatraya, Jagrit, Sushupti, Swapna, what are the three states? And once it understands, then it knows that in the three states, during deep sleep or Sushupti, everything goes into layam, everything goes into dissolution. And yet I still exist. Yet I still exist. Therefore, I am beyond the three states. And so on. The three states, then Avastatraya Sakshi, it understands itself as, then the three Sharirams also, it sees as Sthul Sharir, Sukshma Sharir, Karan Sharir, all of these are known by the Atma. So therefore the Atma is beyond all of these three. I am the Atma. So once we learn this knowledge, then I can go beyond the bondage that the mind is imposing on me. And I start to understand its nature. So if we saw this verse, Manasam tu kim, Marga negrite, Naiva Manasam, Marga arjavat. So first we have to learn to deny the reality to the mind. So this we have seen that first of all we saw how the witness is to be focused on. So when can that happen? First, my mind also should be disciplined so that it is calm, shant. And also, what is the next essential condition for the mind? That is, it must have vairagya. It must have the feeling of lack of desire in all the objects of this world. So that is what we talked about, the first step of being controlling our sense organs. So हमारी इंद्रियों पे हमारा वश होगा. So once we do that, then the mind is what we call shant, nirmal, sattvic. So then we can put it into the duty of tattva chintana. So we can devote it, or we can give it the duty of doing tattva chintanam or meditating on what is the true essence. So once that essence is going on in the mind, due to that discovery itself, the mind slowly starts to calm down, and therefore we can let go of all the faults of the mind. So now when we are thinking this way, then we think next, what is the next thing we can think? That what is the cause behind the problems of the mind? So that cause we have to negate. So once we look at the cause, then we slowly we can go on to liberation. So that liberation can only come once we understand what is a vritti. What is a vritti and what are the two kinds of vritti? So I'll just read the shloka, but today I don't think we'll have time, but we will discover this in the next class, but we can just have a look. So now, what is this mind? What is it composed of? Vrittayastvaham vrittimashrita vrittayo mano vrittiham mana vrittayastvaham vrittimashrita vrittayo mano vrittiham mana. So vidhi aham mana, you have to do the sandhi mentally. Vidhi, e plus a will become ya. Otherwise, the pronunciation will have a gap. So, vidyaham manaha. So, what are the vrittis? What are the main thoughts? What are the thoughts in the mind? First one is the aham vritti. And the second one is not mentioned here. That is the idam vritti. Aham vritti is I, the I thought. I am the doer and so on. And the idam vritti is the knowledge of the objects. This is a book, this is a pen. That is idam vritti. This, this thought. So this and me, these are the two main thoughts. So out of that, aham vritti, that I thought, is what? It is aham vritti ashritaha vrittaya. All the other thoughts are dependent upon the aham vritti. So what are the other thoughts? The idam vritti. So सारी idam vrittiyan aham vritti ke ashrit hai. All the these thoughts, or the thoughts about the objects of the world, are all dependent on the I thought. So therefore, and what next? Vittaya mano. And then what are these thoughts? Together these thoughts comprise the mind, and vidhi aham mana. And who is I? Who do I not real I, not real I. The I that I think of myself to be, that is vidhi aham manaha. I think of myself as the mind. So all the thoughts that are there in the world, they are all dependent on the I thought, and therefore I have to focus on the I thought. If I can destroy the I thought or the aham vritti, the rest will easily be destroyed. That is the essence of this verse. So we'll discuss more about this in the next class. Time is up for today. So we'll wind up for today and we'll continue next time. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Om Tat Sat.